The next thing I remember is waking up gasping for air, lying on the cold pavement beside my car. People were shouting, someone was calling 911, and I could feel my body shutting down. The paramedics arrived quickly, but I could see the concern on their faces. They tried to keep me awake, asking me questions I couldn't answer. Then came the sirens, the rush of movement, and the sensation of being lifted onto a stretcher. Every heartbeat felt like an explosion in my chest, and each breath was harder than the last. I remember hearing one of them say, "She's crashing," before everything faded into darkness. When I woke up again, I wasn't in the ambulance anymore. I wasn't even in my body. I was floating above it, watching as doctors worked frantically to bring me back. I felt no pain, no fear, just a strange sense of peace. But as I looked around, I realized something terrifying. I was no longer in the hospital. I was somewhere else entirely, and there was no turning back. As I floated above my body, watching the chaos unfold in the hospital room, a strange pull began drawing me upward. No hands, no force, just an irresistible momentum. The ceiling dissolved like mist, and suddenly, I was moving through space, faster than anything I could comprehend. Time lost all meaning. I wasn't scared, exactly, but I wasn't calm either. It was like stepping into a reality I wasn't prepared for, where nothing familiar remained. Then, everything changed. I landed, or rather, found myself standing, on solid ground. Except it wasn't ground. It was light. Pure, radiant light stretched in every direction, brighter than the sun yet gentle on my eyes. I looked down and saw my feet, but they weren't the same. I didn't feel heavy or tired. I felt weightless, free, and whole in a way I never had been in my physical body. I could hear music. Not loud, not overpowering, but beautiful. It wasn't any song I recognized, but it filled me with peace, like every note was meant just for me. I took a step forward, and the surface beneath me responded as if it was alive, pulsing with warmth and energy. I turned in circles, trying to take it all in, but there was no beginning and no end. Just endless light, perfect harmony, and a presence I couldn't explain. Yet somehow, I knew I wasn't alone. That's when I saw them. From the light, figures began to emerge, gentle, radiant beings whose very presence radiated love and peace. At first, I couldn't make out their features clearly, but as they drew closer, I saw their faces. These weren't ordinary people. Their eyes held a depth of wisdom and kindness that pierced straight into my soul. One of them stepped forward, taller than the rest, and smiled at me. His voice wasn't loud, but it echoed within me like a melody I had always known but had forgotten. "Annabelle," he said softly, "you are safe." His words wrapped around me like a warm embrace, washing away every fear I hadn't realized I carried. I wanted to speak, to ask questions, but I couldn't find my voice. Instead, I simply nodded, tears streaming down my face. He reached out his hand, and as soon as his fingers brushed mine, I was flooded with emotions I can't describe. Love beyond measure, forgiveness so complete it made me ache, and a joy so pure it overwhelmed me, his presence filling the entire space with indescribable glory. I fell to my knees, overwhelmed, unable to bear the weight of his holiness and grace. In his eyes, I saw everything, my past, my mistakes, my brokenness, and yet he looked at me with unconditional love. No condemnation, no judgment, only mercy. I wanted to stay there forever, surrounded by that light, by that love. But then something shifted. The peaceful atmosphere wavered, and I felt a tug, an invitation to go deeper, to see more. "Come," the tall figure said gently. "There is something you must witness." The moment I followed, the light dimmed, and a chilling darkness swallowed me whole. It wasn't just the absence of light. It was suffocating, oppressive, and filled with a silence so thick it felt like a scream trapped inside my chest. I couldn't breathe, but I wasn't afraid. I was numb, caught between horror and disbelief. Then the cries began. Distant at first, like echoes bouncing off unseen walls, but growing louder, more frantic. The sound clawed at my ears, raw and desperate, filled with agony I had never imagined possible. I stumbled forward, my heart pounding though I no longer had a physical body. Shadows moved in the distance, flickering like ghosts trapped in an endless nightmare. Suddenly, I was standing among them. Spirits, hollow, twisted versions of what they once were, crouched and wandered aimlessly, their faces frozen in expressions of torment. Some screamed silently, mouths wide open but no sound escaping. Others clawed at their skin, their bodies writhing as if burned by invisible flames. Their eyes, Oh, their eyes, they were empty, hollow voids that reflected only suffering. One spirit, a man who looked vaguely familiar, locked eyes with me. His face was gaunt, his mouth twitching uncontrollably. When he spoke, his voice was hoarse and broken. "Help me," he rasped. "Please help me." I reached toward him instinctively, but the being beside me placed a firm hand on my shoulder. "They cannot leave," he said solemnly. "They have chosen this." Another spirit, a woman this time, collapsed at my feet, sobbing uncontrollably. "I didn't believe," she cried, her voice cracking with anguish. "I thought I had more time. I thought I could fix it later. But it's too late. Oh God, forgive me. Please forgive me." Her pleas echoed through the darkness, unanswered. Around her, others murmured similar regrets. Words of desperation, confessions of sins they wished they could undo. Some cursed, their voices laced with hatred, while others sat in stunned silence, staring into the abyss as if still trying to process their fate. The air was thick with despair, heavier than anything I had ever felt. It wasn't just sadness, it was finality. There was no hope, no second chances. Just eternal regret. I turned to the being beside me, my voice trembling. "Why?" He looked at me with sorrowful eyes. "Because they chose to reject the light." And in that moment, I understood. This place wasn't a punishment forced upon them. It was the natural consequence of rejecting God's love. They had lived their lives believing they could exist apart from Him. And now, they would spend eternity realizing how wrong they had been. Tears streamed down my face as I watched the suffering unfold around me. I wanted to comfort them, to tell them there was still hope, but I knew the truth. For them, the door had closed. "Let's go," the being whispered gently. "You were not meant to stay here." With one last glance at the tormented souls, I turned away, my heart breaking for those who had chosen to walk away from the only one who could save them. The moment I stepped away from the darkness, light exploded around me like the rising of 1,000 suns. It wasn't blinding, it was warm, comforting, and alive. Every part of me felt renewed, as if I had been cleansed from the inside out. The heaviness of hell vanished instantly, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace that settled deep in my soul. I was standing in a vast, breathtaking landscape that defied description. The sky shimmered with colors I didn't know existed, shifting like liquid gold under a soft breeze. The ground beneath my feet was smooth and radiant, reflecting the light in a way that made everything sparkle. Trees towered high, their leaves glowing faintly, whispering with a quiet hum that sounded like music. Music that wasn't played but felt, resonating deep within my heart. But the most incredible thing wasn't the scenery. It was the presence of him. "Annabelle," he began, his voice resonating like a melody that stirred my soul. "There is much you need to understand." I nodded, tears streaming down my face, overwhelmed by his presence. "Yes, Lord," I replied, my voice barely a whisper. He continued, "This is not merely a destination, it is a reflection of who I am. Here, love reigns, and every soul finds its purpose. But outside of this light lies darkness, a place where love is absent and despair reigns." His gaze pierced through me, as if he were reading the depths of my heart. "You have seen the consequences of rejecting me, haven't you?" "Yes," I admitted, recalling the agonizing cries of those trapped in hell. "I don't understand why they chose that path." "They didn't understand the weight of their choices," he explained, his expression softening. "Many live their lives focused on earthly pleasures, blinded by the allure of sin. They thought they could escape the consequences, but in the end, they faced the truth. Separation from me is the greatest torment. You will return to your body, Annabelle. You have a mission. Share the truth of my love, the importance of obedience, and the necessity of repentance. Many hearts are hardened, but there is still time for them to turn to me." "But what if they don't listen?" I asked, my heart racing with fear for those I loved. "They will listen when they feel the power of forgiveness," he assured me. "Tell them that no sin is too great for my grace. Encourage them to seek reconciliation, to mend what has been broken. The danger of sin is not just in the act itself, but in the distance it creates between them and me." As he spoke, the atmosphere shifted, and I felt a surge of urgency. "You must hurry, Annabelle. Time is fleeting. Remember, the choice to follow me is a choice for eternity." With that, the vision began to fade, the light dimming slightly, yet his presence remained steadfast. I felt a profound sense of purpose igniting within me, a fire to spread his message of hope and redemption. The conversations I had just experienced were not mere words. They were a call to action, a divine commission that would shape the course of my life from that moment on. "You must go back," he said gently. The words hit me like a wave. Go back. Back to what? To the pain, the struggles, the confusion of this world? I shook my head instinctively. "Lord, I don't want to leave," I whispered. "I want to stay here with you." His eyes softened, and he placed a hand on my shoulder. "I know, my child, but your time has not yet come. There is still work for you to do."